sorry about that unmuting. Anyway, I hope you heard my morning song, Slow Ride. That's kind of what we're getting out of the indices here. You get some moves in some of these other markets. So, we've had a nice rally. We started the Christmas rally a little early, and technically, this is when the Santa Claus rally starts. But anyway, made new highs again yesterday on the U.S. session, and it looks like we're going to just continue to do a little back and forth. Very possible that we end up going back up. Let me see here. Got to kind of quick second adjust my charts. They're a little bit tricky today. Okay. Right. All right. So, looking at the CES, you could see that the overnight range was really pretty small. You know, we're kind of like uh, doing a slow like back and forth. I mean, if I were to open up this session, for instance, the Europe session, make this into a candlestick, you can see this is the kind of action that we have now. Very much so, uh, like we did yesterday, small overnight range. We're going to continue this kind of slow ride, if you want to call it. My pivot comes in right here at the point of control. And the point of control is right around that 19 level. And right above is the low from the overnight low. So really tiny range. 48.21 is the overnight low. I wouldn't be getting too cute and trying to short this market because it's really been holding up. Yesterday we respected the overnight or the previous PLC where Asia opened and then stayed above it. And then, so we're doing the same thing. It's almost identical if you look at it. Here's the US session. Hang on one second. Just blow this up a little bit here. So here's the US session, point of control. We had kind of a P formation, and which is bullish. And then we rallied above it and stayed above the PLC point of control. We did the same thing so far with this overnight session, which I think we're gonna, have another quick move up to test this after the opening. That would be my guess. We go back up, test the highs, which the highs from yesterday, yesterday's US session came in at 48.34.50. And that's the year high, of course, 2023 high with basically 3 days left to the year for the ES. So here we are, yearly highs. Can't fade that, right? Okay, hang on one second. So the pivot's 2019. Sorry about that. Pivot's 2019, and I think that if they get on the other side of 2019 and they get below that, then we can do a retest, probably a full retest down to 48.06.07. I think the market's going to stay well bid. I don't think you're going to get too much of a push down unless some crazy news comes out, maybe moves the market, but it should be very much a quiet day as far as volume and trend, momentum, that kind of thing. So let's just see what happens after the opening. We'll see if we test the pivot. They get on the other side of 2019. Maybe they do a little bit of push down, but you can see over here on the left side, left side here, we had a nice little move up early in the morning, and we're doing a little bit of a bull flag. So good chance that the market's going to probably move up on the opening. Maybe this, we take the top of this out, move up and retest yesterday's highs during the US session. All right, let's move along here. And before I do, let's just take a look at how this looks on a regular bar chart. You can see that the rally we had from the end of October was quite the rally. It's 41.75 all the way up to this 48 30 area, right? So more than 6 handles, but 6 big handles in less than 2 months, right? And you can see this, the red here is the only time we had a 3-bar reversal, because we came back down, took this out, but really didn't stay down there. Coiled here. Outside of that, we've had nothing but PAV buys all the way up, staying above the 20 EMA, so extremely strong. You can't fade it. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next chart. All right, let's go to the bonds first. Start from the back up, and bonds are doing pretty well. You can see I highlighted the gap from the opening, so we have a gap from this morning's low to the US session high from yesterday. And bonds are pretty strong. I don't see the bonds really coming back right away to go fill that gap. I think the bonds are still going to push higher, and I think there's a chance we could get up to 25.14. It's that kind of day where we had this big balancing here, and then the overnight session really showed a nice bid, closed on the highs. We opened up right on the opening, and we did a green light go right off the opening. So this 25.15 is very possible, before we come back and try to fill this gap from this kind of inside pocket, yesterday's US session high. You can see that we put value above this level here. Even if we open this up just for a second, I think it's kind of neat to see how we opened up right around the PLC, had a nice rally, then we stayed above the pivot, which this was the pivot for me anyway. I felt like we get above this inside pocket, these highs, we're going to hold them, and we pretty much held it very, very good, in a sense that we only poked down there, came right back, showing that the market does not want to go lower, and we traded outside the value area, and now here we are. So, all right. Let's move on to the next chart. My pivot, by the way, is down at 24.10, and the pivot is only like if things get really ugly and they get below there. If they make a full retest of the gap, and we're probably going to make a retest of the overnight lows. So that's where the pivot is right now. It just so happened it respected it in the overnight session pretty much, and now we're gapping above. So 25.15 is probably in the cards, I would think. The CC had, again, kind of like the bonds, they're cousins, they're moving higher. What did the EC do? Did the same thing, right? My pivot was right at this 110.80, 182, and then we got this push up. So we have a gap from the low here to this US session high. Still, same kind of scenario. We took out the overnight lows, and we could get up to 111.28. I do like this momentum that we have. We're still looking pretty good. You're getting quite the the follow through. If you were just to look at right here, you can see this is a nice trend up. we've been in a PAV buy all the way from here. We've been above the uh, well above the 20 EMA, showing how strong it is. No pushback, no, almost single time framing most of the time after in the last week. So pretty solid move in this EC. All right. My pivot though is all the way down at 110.82. They gapped higher. They come back like the bonds, fill this gap, get to the pivot. That's probably going to be a pretty bearish thing if we can get below the pivot. That would be not what I expect. We could come back in after the first hour or two and fill some of this gap, which probably going to do after they finish trying to take this higher in the morning. But that's my 2 cents on that. All right, this gold looks pretty good, but it's had kind of a slow moving rally, but still looking pretty good. I mean, if we looked at the gold here, you can see it's similar to the to this ES, or I'm sorry, no, the EC, right? And the bonds, they're kind of like cousins. We got this kind of move up here, a bit of a wedge. We're still in a buy, and they could get up there and move a little closer to this high up, in this area, which is around 2095. So I still would rather be on the friendly side of the goal, because I think the goal is going to continue higher. I think 2095 is possible today, but it might be a slow ride, as we were talking about the markets in general. The pivot for me, it comes in at 2068. If they get below the previous POC, then I think all bets are off. You'll start to see a little bit of a push down. For the time being, we might just do some filling in of the overnight highs and lows. That's been the case in the early morning. Yesterday we did this and we came out of it and it closed higher, right? So on this day here, the U.S. session filled the cave and then closed. Took out the highs just like yesterday. So I think we'll take out the overnight highs first and maybe test them and then come and do a little work inside this area. So 2068 is my pivot. If they get below that, then I think all bets are off. That's, an extreme. This crude doing a little bit of, a testing of this high volume, this PLC from the overnight session, and the US session comes in right at the highs. We went right up to it, right around that 75.45. Pretty good area, the 75.45. They take out the highs, we can continue to go the other way. Early this morning, they went down during the US session, opened, broke the market all the way down to test the previous US session lows. They couldn't take it out. Pretty big area anyway. Right below that area is this high volume node, which is, the highest volume node for the last month. And it comes in at this 73, 80 to 70 area. And I kind of gave it a thicker little bit of a marking because, we get down there, that should hold first time. But I felt, this inside pocket actually, I had to draw it in before, but that was the previous US session low. So I just left it there. Pretty important. They couldn't get below 74. They tested down there, but really couldn't do it. If you look at this chart here, you can see we had a big range yesterday, 20 EMA pointing up, and really couldn't even get below the 20 EMA either, which comes in at or the daily, I should say, EMA, which is 20 EMA, 73.91. All right, so let's move on to the next charts. Let's go back to our main page here, right? and just see what the spoos are doing at this time. We're still getting a little bit of a push down. This is going to be, pretty important. If we get down to 1920 area, and first time down there, I would expect the market to hold. That might be a good place to buy the dip, right? For the time being, the ES is just a little negative. The indices are kind of mixed at the moment. Not a big deal. ES is down, Dow is down, but the Russell's up a tiny bit, and the Nasdaq's up a bit. So some cross currents in the morning, but nothing big. Uh, to be expected during this week before the last year. Um, our volume's going to probably be low, and I don't think you'll get a huge push below, you know, where we are. I think if anything, we might be close to holding this area up by the pivot and the overnight lows. So we'll see how it looks on the opening. We've got 9 minutes to go. I'll grab a cup of coffee, and I think today you might be more in the scalping mode. Market might just, uh, as far as the indices go, I think we'll just have some two-way trading. Maybe we make it down to the pivot, um, and hold. But at the same time, I do like this Nasdaq. I think the Nasdaq's closer to taking out their overnight highs, so we've got a little bit of a, you know, uh, different feel from the Nasdaq to the ES at the moment. Nasdaq could very well, before the opening, even test the previous U.S. session highs. So that's a possibility. Currently, the Nasdaq and the ES small range, the highs at 17,106.25 and 17,111.25 is the previous U.S. session high. So we're really just about 5-6 handles away from taking that out. All right, so I'll be back in a little bit. See how the opening and what we do on the opening, and we'll kind of watch the first 15 minutes, and then we can assess what we want to do from that point. All right, I'll be right back.